There's this show, Tere Bin. It broke records across Pakistan as the most watched TV show in the history of Pakistan. Today, it's my absolute honor to present to you the Associate Director, Muskaan Kadwani.
Obviously, the biggest factor being my father, who has always been my biggest inspiration.
Abdullah Kadwani.
Of course. Honestly, nepotism for me, I don't believe in nepotism.
What was it like? You work closely with Yumna, with Wahaj, being, a few of the stars, because I know there were a lot of stars.
A big reason why I love Tere Bin till date and I love my experience on that set is because of them. People just loved nepotism, We never glorify negative characters because they're not supposed to be glorified.
So did you ever think about acting at any point?
Honestly, this is a really funny question because
welcome to a very special episode of Really Real with Alizeh. Today we close out season 1, and because it's a special episode, I had to come up with a special guest. So while I've been doing counseling, the one student who I counseled who's very special and I'm very proud of is someone you already know of but you don't know about it yet. So there's this show, Tere Bin. It broke records across Pakistan as the most watched TV show in the history of Pakistan. And today, it's my absolute honor to present to you the Associate Director, Muskaan Kadwani.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here. And congratulations on this new venture. It's looking great, and I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Muskaan, and I'm so proud of you because I really want everyone to know that when you came to me, you were an A-level student back then. And this, I think, is 2019.
Long ago.
A long time before COVID.
Yeah.
And you wanted to go into filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's a pretty unconventional, creative field.
For sure.
So I want to talk about your whole journey today, from then to Tere Bin and to Tere Bin and beyond, actually, and what this journey means for you. So tell me, as an A-level student, when you were venturing into filmmaking, how did you know this was the right field for you?
Honestly, I didn't know up until university. Because until college, I used to be thinking that, I was always drawn towards an artsy field. And I think obviously that comes from the fact that I'm a part of a family that has deep roots in the media industry. We're all very creative people. So I knew that if I do something, it's always going to be a part of an artsy field. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't just filmmaking for me. It was either going to be interior design or it was going to be filmmaking. But I think what really drew my attention to filmmaking towards the end was the fact that film is a very penetrable yet powerful medium, right? Mm-hmm. And I've always been that sort of person who wants to talk about societal issues or what's going on around us. And I think that we can portray that using film, right? That medium is just so strong that you can portray such topics in dramas or in films, and people watch that and take that message home. People really learn. They want to idealize characters, they want to be like them, or they just take that message home and actually it really impacts them, So for me, there's a lot of things that drew me to film. Obviously, the biggest factor being my father, who has always been my biggest inspiration.
Abdullah Kadwani.
Of course. So he has always been my biggest inspiration.
Did you grow up on sets?
I did grow up on sets, actually. And funniest part was that when I was a kid, my dad was an actor himself. So yeah, so for me, it was I've seen the 360, for me, I used to be home waiting for him to come home from set, and I used to be missing him. So I've seen that life as well, what actors go through and what the struggle is and long working hours. And at the same time, I've also seen him as a director and a producer, because now obviously he's a producer, before he was a director. So I feel I've already seen everything. And now walking into this industry, it's nothing's new for me. I've been in this, and I've seen my little brothers go on set as well. When they were little, they used to work as well. Now, obviously, my elder brother, he's grown up. He's also an actor. So there's a lot of set exposure. And of course, I know a lot about the life because, we have a lot of discussions at home about it as well. And we've always been involved in the process.
You guys are very involved, close family.
For sure.
And not just from a work, but, you guys are doing things
Generally
together.
Well.
Even when we were applying for your universities and we were working on your portfolio, your mom was helping you out. She was one of the actors.
Yeah.
So Growing up, what was it like as a close family who discussed work, studying, and everything together?
Honestly, I feel like it's great because it's so rare nowadays, right? Like, I think that being a close family, discussing everything with your parents, with your siblings is just so rare. You don't see that anymore. So it's a big, big blessing, Alhamdulillah for that. And I think that our learnings come a lot from my parents and from the people around us, So I feel like being a close family, being involved in everything just helps so much. Just like today, if I'm in this industry and all the learnings that I've had before, and if my eyes are already opened about it, it's because of my dad and all the lessons he's taught us, So it all comes from there. And I think that it's great. Yeah.
So, with you, of course, there's a lot of an opportunity that you had growing up, your exposure before really entering the industry. But also that's a challenge because when you come into this industry, people would assume, oh, she's here because she had a connection through her dad.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole global debate about nepotism. And it's a challenge. So how do you justify that? And more than justification, how do we have that discussion? How do you deal with it?
Honestly, nepotism for me, I think I don't believe in nepotism. And I think that this word is used very unfairly. I think people in society a lot of people don't even know the meaning of it.
And they throw it around generously because it's one of those
Nepo kid, like that's what it is, But I think that be it a star kid or somebody who's coming from a normal background, you're always going to have to, it always like circles back to hard work. If you don't have the talent, society is not going to accept you. And this field of work, it's all about survival because of talent. If you're not going to have that talent, you can't survive in this industry. So it all comes down to talent and hard work.
So you might get your first opportunity through having had that connection or exposure. But if you're miserable at it, they're not going to be.
Yeah, they're not going to accept you.
It is a challenging field to work in.
For sure. And obviously, I'm not saying that there's no benefits coming from a family like that. Of course, there are. But then you also have to use them to your advantage. I could use them in the wrong way and exploit my resources. It might not work in my favor. But the fact that I'm using it to my advantage is how it's supposed to work, right? So I think that this nepotism is just thrown around and it's a big challenge. But at the same time, I think it's all about talent. People are not going to, how harsh the world has become now. And people are not going to accept you for who you are or for whatever mistakes that you make. It's all about your talent. And if you prove it to them, they're going to want to see your content. If you don't, they don't want to see you. Like as simple as that.
You said it's a difficult world and I fully agree. I feel like it's becoming pretty predatory out there. If you say something, you have to justify it, you have to own up to it, or sometimes you have to apologize. And there's a lot of responsibility in, before I say our words, I feel even our thoughts, because if we just say something. So when you're actually creating content, and you're bringing up societal issues, you guys are presenting your own understandings and opinions. Let's say if it's not taken well in a show, how do you guys deal with, let's say, a PR crisis? How would you deal with, as an associate director, with the PR crisis or with negative opinions about the audience?
Well, my opinion on that would be that your work is to give your 100%, right? Like for you as well, you always give your 100% in everything, right? And then once that's done, you've done everything to the maximum of your ability. There's nothing that's in your hands after that, right? You've done whatever you could have done. And then it's the way that people take it, right? And it's okay to have good criticism. It's okay to have bad criticism. And in fact, I think it's even better to have bad criticism because you learn from it. People like a lot of your stuff, but if there's people that are telling you what you did wrong and what you should do better next time, I think that's even better, right? You want to learn from it, and people should actually give you that criticism because you want to fix that mistake and make it even bigger. But that doesn't mean, I know a lot of people that get demotivated, and it's only normal. I mean, we're human, we could get demotivated by such comments, but I think that the most important thing would be standing up on your feet and taking a stand for it. You know that you did all that you could possibly do, right? And then whatever comes from people after that, you're just supposed to stay confident and deal with it. That's as simple as that. So yeah, that's what it is.
Tere Bin was a big success. It broke records. What has your personal learning been? Because I think this was your first project as an associate director.
Yeah.
So as an associate director, what was the most special part for you for Tere Bin?
For me, honestly, I think everything about Tere Bin was just so special. Like for me, there's like a special place in my heart for it. And every time that I talk about it, everyone's just like, will you ever love a project more than Tere Bin? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Because it's my first and it's just so special. Like, I think your first is always like either make or break for you, you know? And for me, Terbin was just that it just gave me so much confidence. And, you know, I think that a lot of my confidence comes from there because just the fact that my experience was so good makes me want to do more of this. You know, it kind of defines my love for this field of
And
work.
it starts your own personal
For
legacy
sure,
into this field.
100%. And I think that it's not just because of, it's because of a lot of factors. And that would be the fact that the environment on set was great.
What was it like? You work closely with Yumna, with Wahaj, being, you know, a few of the stars, because
Yeah.
I know there were a lot of stars.
Yeah.
How was like a day in the life of the set?
Honestly, if I'm very honest with you, I remember my first day on set. Obviously, I was nervous. I was like, you know, I don't know the people there and like, how is it going to be? Yeah. But I think walking into that set, I just knew that this is for me. Like, you know, it just instantly became
It felt
home.
right.
You know, the people, we honestly see people acting and then we think that the character that they're playing, this is a usual misconception. When you see an actor playing a character, you think that they're that person, but they're not. You know,
they're acting. That's
they're
their art.
acting and that's their art. And a lot of people, when you see that people are playing negative characters, they're like, oh, we don't like you.
Like Sarah from Humsafar.
Yeah,
she was
exactly.
hated for so long.
She was hated for so long, but for what? She acted so well in that you fell for it, basically, you know. So what are you hating on her for? So I think that, you know, we forget that a lot of these actors are not just phenomenal actors, but also amazing human beings. And Yumna and Wahaj were one of them. You know, I think that a big reason why I love Terbin till date and I love my experience on that set is because of them. And of course, because of the director and because of many other factors that just felt like home. I just felt so confident in that environment. I just felt so comfortable, you know, and it was honestly
and how long did you guys work in that project for?
Well, it was long.
Right? Because there were lots of episodes.
Yeah, it was long and it was around like 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
And imagine like being with those same people
every
single day for like 12 hours plus.
Every day.
It's like not knowing someone to knowing someone so well all of a sudden.
It's like when they say you travel with someone, you really get to know them. Yeah. This is like no other because you're living with them practically.
Yeah, exactly, right? And honestly, like I really did not think that I would have such a great time on set, but it was just something that's just so special to me and still so close to my heart that I don't think I can ever like, you know.
So talking about you working closely with actors, right? We of course see a very romanticized version and a very glamorous end result version of their Instagram, their end work, their successes. I'm asking this from a third person's perspective. What are some struggles that we as viewers don't really see actors have?
Honestly, I think that outside this world looks like glitz and glamour. Yeah. And a lot of people are inspired and a lot of people want to be a part of this industry. You know, we see that people are just so inspired by the people here and they just want to be a part of this glitz and glamour, but it's really not like that. Someone like me being someone who's inside this industry right now can tell you that things aren't as glitzy as they seem from outside or as perfect as they seem, right? And one other common misconception would be that people think that this is a very easy field of work.
You just have to look pretty. Yeah. You just have to be
They're
good
like,
looking.
oh yeah, what do? You just go on set, get ready, act. I mean, you know, it's not like that. It's difficult. It's difficult for an actor to actually be acting on that platform. It's not easy. Or for a director to be shooting that. Or for a producer to be, you know, taking care of the project. It's not, none of this is easy. You know, and I've seen my dad as well. It's sometimes it feels like he's running a hospital. You know, I'm just like, you're at it 24/7. Like you're home, but you're still working. You're at work and you're still working. You're not sleeping because you're working. You know, it's a lot sometimes and people don't realize that. And circling back to your question, I think that there's a lot that actors also struggle with, such as long working hours. And it's stressful, right? Every single day you wake up and know that it's a different situation that you have to handle. And actors as well. I know a few people who actually played 2 characters at the same time. So they're doing 2 dramas side by side. Okay. And it's a struggle. You know, it's a struggle.
Equally be there for both characters and be yourself at the end of the day.
I've seen that actor come to this set and then be like, I just cannot gel into this character again because I'm so out of it. And once actors actually gel into that character, they take that home with them. I know so many wives or like husbands that have been like, she's become that character or he's become that character, because it takes some time to come out of it.
It's a process.
It's a process. And it's funny as well, right? Because I remember Wahaj on Bin, because he played Burtasim for so long, he actually became that person, So to get yourself out of that, and the hard work that goes into making people believe that you're that character, it's difficult. It's not easy. And people need to know that it is difficult. It's not an easy thing. I think that just because it looks so great from out there, it's not like that from the inside. It's a lot of hard work. And I think people that are crazy lovers for this field can do this work.
So you have to be really passionate.
You really have to be passionate for this work. Like it's not possible otherwise. Likewise with other professions as well. But I think for this one, because it's so creative.
And it's very grueling on yourself.
100%, yeah.
There's no 9 to 5.
No, there's no 9 to 5. As much as I wish there was a 9 to 5, but there is no 9 to 5.
So you said you grew up a little bit on set. So you were somewhat aware. What's been the biggest something you weren't aware of only after you joined full-time as an associate director?
I think that obviously hearing something versus experiencing that is completely different. And I had always heard from my father what it's like to be on set or what people are like and the issues that you have to face. But I had never faced them on my own, right?
Not firsthand.
Not firsthand. And now that I go to set, it's like I see those issues and sometimes I'm just like, this is so petty. But then you have to deal with it in a certain way. You could have like a really bad situation on set one day and you have to learn to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to impact your own project. So I think it's the daily issues that come to you that I didn't realize were as big as, people said. But I think that's something that you have to learn to deal with. And if you don't know how to deal with it, you're going to like create a problem for yourself. And being a director especially.
You,
100%.
What do you think is probably the biggest takeaway as an associate director that you've put in the project?
For me, I think that being an associate director was a 360. I was looking after the art direction on set. I was looking after the look and feel of characters, just generally the get-up of artists and just a lot.
Which was really nicely done. And the shawls and the dupattas and the outfits and the jewelry.
Yeah, and the mustache,
Yes,
that
was
was
a lot went into all of these little things.
A lot went into it. It went into it.
And the makeup and the hair. So all of these things are pre-discussed and everything's put together.
Yeah, everything's put together, and it's a lot sometimes. It's really overwhelming, obviously, because it's my first set and there's so many people on it. Yeah. And people are like, there's so many people that everybody's getting ready and everybody has to do the same look all over again. Yeah. And it's like sometimes we're doing scenes with like 8 people there and it's just like so hard to handle, like being a solo director.
How do you stay sane in the chaos before the cut happens?
I think that is the question till date. There's a lot of people they can't, some people just lose it.
And imagine the director's losing it. How is everyone else supposed to keep it together and act?
Yeah, but then the director can't lose it. Yeah. That's the thing.
So how do you stay patient and calm?
Well, you're supposed to do it in your own way, but you're supposed to do it because if you're not going to stay calm, then don't expect anybody around you.
How does your dad do it? Your dad has so many things going on.
He's
at that pinnacle of his career, right? So like he's doing it all. He knows records are being broken, expectations, audiences is taking things differently. So how does he keep his cool?
Well, honestly, I think that coming back to us, it's like coming home to your kids and your family. It's something that he loves doing. And I think that's his takeaway from work. He wants to be with us. He wants to think about something different. He wants to do something different other than work because that's all he's ever doing, right? So I think for him, like family is really big and he'll always come back to that to feel like that's his time to be like, be doing therapeutic things. Like that's therapy for him. So he'll come home and he'll be with his kids and we love being with him as well. Just hearing
you guys have a beautiful bond with him and your mom.
Yeah,
mashallah.
Yeah. So it's like I think for him it's family that takes him away from work. And then we always have those vacations as well.
You just came from a very nice summer holiday.
Yeah. So I think that is I think my dad deserves it the most, after
So when he
working
really
so much.
switches off and he takes that break is when he can keep his cool and calm.
Doesn't switch off on vacation either.
Guys, he doesn't
No, he
switch off.
doesn't. He just never switches off.
Interesting. I don't know how, but because, like at least with us, when we work, I do feel a sense of burnout sometimes. And you have to take a step back to kind of get back to work.
It is like that. But I think it's the crazy passion that he has for his work that is still keeping him at his doors. He loves his work. And not just him, like if
The
there's
team.
the team, and honestly, I think that for me, it was like growing up in an institution. So there was my dad, and then there was his partner, Asad uncle. So both of them have always been my biggest mentors. And I've learned so much from them because I think like experience speaks, right? And they've been in it for like so long now, as long as I remember. And I've just learned so much from them. So I'm blessed in that sense that I have
And
mentors
mentors
like
are
them.
important, right?
100%. So they're really important. So they guide you, they tell you what to do, they hold your hand through everything basically. So we're blessed to have such mentors.
No, mentors are very important. And especially with fields like this where it's creative, there's no book you can read and become a good filmmaker. So changing the topic just a little bit, when you're working in the media, right, there's a lot of sometimes a PR crisis, controversy, different people take things differently. You guys have given it your best, put it out there. How do you personally, as Muskaan, an associate director, deal with if you've created something, put it out there, and someone takes it extremely negatively? How would you deal with that?
How I would deal with it? I think I'm still in the learning process, and I am learning to deal with it. I wouldn't say I have learned yet how to deal with it because I am also a sensitive person. And
What's your star?
what's my star? Gemini.
Gemini, okay.
But yeah. So I think that
Gemini are good social people,
yeah.
likable,
Yeah, likable, they fit in well.
and they have a natural sense of conversation.
Yeah, I think I do as well. I can like yap for as long as you want me to.
Yapping is important in life.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important for this field as well.
A little yapping,
Really
here and
to
there.
be yapping. That's how you make your network, and that's how you are on set. You really have to do it. You're just
You
yapping.
can't be in a silo by yourself.
You can't be introverted to be in this field. It's like every single day you're with a bunch of people and you have to deal with them. So you have to have that skill. You have to be good at communicating. You have to be good at like leadership and taking your ground well and all of that. So yeah, well, I've forgotten the question that you asked me.
It's fine. So I'm going to ask you another question, that when you're actually creating content for consumption for societies, what's your take on where responsibility lies? When you're in filmmaking, are you guys, the industry, representing, mirroring already what there is in society out there? Or you guys feel sense of responsibility that what we create will impact and change the fabric of society?
It's both. It's a reflection of society, yet you're also impacting society in a certain way, So I think that our dramas or our films are a depiction of what's actually happening in society, And I think that our society is not yet ready to accept whenever they watch something that's a little on the uglier side, the uglier side of society. They're not ready to watch it and be like, oh, this is us.
So do we
this is
still
what we're
want
doing.
to watch the shadis and the...
There is a big target market for that. I think the masses want to watch like shadi and saas bahu and problems. They love that. I think that
that's what sells your scene.
Yeah, 100%. I think Pakistan has a lot of like drama and masala and all of that. So they want to watch that. We still have masses that watch all of that.
कोई कुछ कह रहे दरवाजे पे खड़े होके किसी ने सुन ली.
Yeah. That is. I think that's just our culture.
Let's check कि कोई दरवाजे पे तो नहीं अभी.
No, thank God. But at this point, everyone's hearing us, no?
Yeah, they will once this goes out.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that there's also that target market that wants to watch something different. And we're making that different, right? And then not everybody wants to watch that, but then we make it for that target market that wants to watch that. And I think that the way that it's a reflection of society is that you see today our dramas and our films, they're on very integral issues that are actually happening in society today. and the way that it affects society is that when you're making something, like I said, because film is such a penetrable medium, when people watch that, they want to become that certain character, or they want to become they idealize them, right? So let's go back to Tere Bin Murtasim, for example. I saw memes, I saw like people talking about it. It
went viral.
Yeah, it was all over. And people just loved Murtasim, They were like, oh, we want to marry someone like him, and like, we want a husband like him. To the point where there were a lot of like aunties also. They were like telling their husbands, look at this man, like you should be like him,
Murtasim,
Yeah, like
my
that's so
mother
cringe. But
actually saw him in Dolmen, and she went and met him and she took a selfie with him, and she sent it on our family group, and we were like, oh, Wahaj and mommy.
yeah, exactly, right? So many people really idolized him, and people were like, we want to be him, and we want like a husband like that, or we want someone like that in our lives, So I think that the way that it impacts society is that when you're watching something like that,
you aspire for that.
You aspire for that. You want to become that certain character, or you want that story to be the story of your life.
But what happens when you guys show something and it's not intended for that, but people misconstrue it, and then they keep you guys accountable?
So I think that...
And then there's an upheaval.
Yeah. So I think that one thing that people do wrong is that they don't take negative characters well. So when we're showing a negative character...
Or a negative moment.
Yeah, we're not glorifying it. We're not showing that so that society learns from it. I think they don't see that you're showing that that negative character has a bad ending. And that's the way the world works as well, right? A person who's not good, they eventually have a bad ending. It takes long. I mean, you never know about the timelines. It could happen whenever, in whatever way in your life, but they're gonna eventually have a bad ending.
So you guys are actually showing that wait and watch what happens to
exactly.
him.
Like you don't see in the midst of the drama that like, they're doing bad, or like people are just like, why is this negative character still living life? But then you wait till the end, and then you see that they're not doing well. Their ending is always bad. We never glorify negative characters because they're not supposed to be glorified. And I think that that's what people don't wait for. There's no patience, absolutely no patience at all. And that's what happens in the world as well.
Instant labeling and judgment. This is
100%. 100%. I think that our
and
society...
no second chances.
Oh, no. They're just so harsh, like no second chances, and just want to like... No patience at all either. Like, they just want to accept whatever they see at first sight, basically, and not wait for what happens. I mean, if you think about it, forget dramas, right? Reality as well. You have to wait for a certain result. Like even if a person, like, people don't have that patience today to like wait for what's coming their way. And I think that it works the same way in dramas as well. People just cannot wait. Oh, you're a negative character. Why are they still living?
Because you made that, how you said it, okay, when we show something, they assume that filmmakers, if they're showing something, they're glorifying it. But just because you're showing doesn't mean you're saying everyone should do that or that they are right. And sometimes I guess you guys leave things open-ended, right?
Not with negative characters.
Not with negative. So this is a conscious decision.
This is a conscious decision. Yeah.
Negative, but we will show.
Yeah.
To not encourage this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because people are taking that message home, why would you want people to learn that that negative character is still doing okay after doing all those negative things?
Because you guys know you guys have a responsibility.
Yeah, it is a big responsibility. What you're showing is what people are taking home. Youngsters,
affecting
adults,
society.
It is really affecting society. But then at the same time, it is what's happening in society as well. You have to keep up with what's happening in society. Of course, years ago, we would have made different content, but now years later, we make different content. We have to keep up with what's happening around us. It has to be relevant to society. Nobody wants to know what happened centuries ago. People want to know what's happening now in today's day. A
big thing nowadays, which I also saw with the character in Tere Bin, Yumna's character, a woman having an independence of thought, financial independence. And I think that was very interesting. And I'm all for that. So was this something that was thought out? Was it deliberate? Because you think this is a message that it's important for it to go out in society?
For sure. I think that it is very important for people to know that women can also be dominating. They can also have their own ground. They're not just behind, a man. Like a woman is not just always behind a man. I feel like that and that's something that society is now learning as well. I think that, a lot of people have realized that like women can do their own thing. They can go out there, they can earn, they can be independent. And there's a lot more acceptance for that, not just in our society, but also in families. I think that it comes back to your family, right?
Family is the cornerstone, right?
Exactly. So it comes from them. If they treat you like somebody who can actually go out there and be independent, then you're going to do it. That's where your confidence comes from. So I think showing that character, a lot of women were inspired that, oh, we can speak up as well,
And I think a society needs actors like that to show that it is possible.
We always see in dramas that there's always a male dominating character, but we always see that the female is like, always crying and she's the one going through the issues, and people don't want to see that anymore. We want to like uplift women and tell them that you're not that person who just has to sit in the side and just cry and go through everything. You can speak up as well. It's not wrong to speak up.
Things have really changed.
They have.
What are some topics or content themes that you as, Muskaan would want to make more content about?
So for me, I think that I want to talk about societal issues or what's going on around us. I don't think I want to do those old saas bahu, I'm not that sort of person, I don't want to do that. I want to do something that's different, and that may be just for a niche market, but I want to put it out there and I want to do something different. Like, for example, another drama that's in the pipeline, it's a 4-episode series. It's by the name of Dusra Chehra, and I was the associate director of that as well. So that one is about how social media is so deceiving, and how great is that topic, because in today's day, I think we're living in a world of social media.
Behind we're all in some filter or the
100%.
other.
And everyone, the world just revolves around social media at this point. It's
Sometimes
so hard
you feel
to
like, oh, I know what's going on in their life, but you realize you only know what's going on because you're on each other's social media. You haven't actually met in years.
No, you don't know anything.
But you know everything.
But at the same time, that's not everything. That's what people don't realize. What they see on social media isn't a true depiction of their life.
No. I think it's an ill depiction.
Yeah.
It's not like a reflection. It's something we're curating and we're really consciously putting it out there.
So I think that
what a great topic.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. You just know what they're showing you. And a lot of people do that. They just want to seem or look happy to the world, but they're not actually doing well. And it could be the opposite as well.
People put up really, really like a lot of things is because they're trying to tell their own selves that.
That could be one possibility, right? I think that is also a type of personality. Somebody who's trying to convince themselves that we're happy, we're doing okay. There's a lot
by putting it out there.
By putting it out there and getting that validation from people.
How was getting approval for such a niche topic? Was it easy?
It's not gone out there yet. So we don't know that how people are gonna.
So to the ones watching the podcast, you found out about Dusra Chehra for the first time.
Exclusive news. But I think that people are taking it well now though. Because there's a certain audience that wants to watch that. And that's mostly social media audience. That's not the audience that watches stuff on TV anymore. It's basically the YouTube audience. The cooler people out there, they want to watch this stuff.
Because they're interacting with you guys through social media anyway.
And they're telling us that they want to watch something like this. And we're putting it out there for them. And obviously, it's never going to get the popularity that...
The commercials of, let's say, Tere.
Yeah, it's never going to get that popularity, because the masses want to watch that. But then there's also that target audience that wants to watch this. So
it's about balancing that content out. And I think that makes filmmakers more responsible, because if you're creating more commercial things, because yes, masses want that, then creating things that also uplift society, educate society. Yeah. So was this the career that you always wanted, or did you ever think about acting at any point?
Honestly, this is a really funny question, because acting was always a no for me. I'm still very camera shy, trying to avoid that camera that's creeping right at me. But
isn't it easier to do this versus if you had to look at the camera?
Yeah, it's so much easier. Like, I'm completely ignoring that
with 2 other people in the room.
Yeah. And it's much easier with one more person. This is really nice. It's like a conversation, Plus, I haven't seen you in so long, so I feel like I'm actually just talking to you.
But because of social media and we follow each other, I didn't realize it's been so long, because overall I have an idea, but I don't actually know what's going on.
Yeah. So back to your question.
Yeah, so my question was that did you ever think about acting?
Well, not really. No. There was a time as a kid that I used to go for commercial auditions and stuff, and my parents used to be sitting there, and I was like auditioning, and I could never do it in front of my parents. Like never. I feel like them sitting there was just such a big pressure on me. I felt like they were like the judges, and someone's like looking at me, and someone's like telling me that I'm not doing it right. So I feel like that was added pressure. But then at the same time, I've always been like camera shy, and the camera is something that I
You
love.
didn't think you're camera shy.
I
I'm surprised knowing you're camera shy because I assumed you've grown up on set. There were cameras. Mashallah, you're so nice looking,
Thank you.
well spoken. So I just assumed.
No, I am camera shy, and I think that when the camera's not on me, I'm a very confident person. But I think that camera I just can't act in front of it. So obviously growing up, I did those auditions and then I did all of that. But I realized that it wasn't the life that I wanted. I want to be behind the camera. I want to be making the stuff that you see, and I don't want to be in it. So I think that I'm the behind the camera kind of girl.
And you're doing very well, breaking records for the country
Thank
for
you.
being behind the camera. Imagine what happens when Muskaan's in front of the camera. Well, inshallah, let's see.
Yeah.
It's been so lovely speaking with you, Muskaan. So tell me, for any students watching who want to go into filmmaking, who don't have anyone to speak to, mentors, and don't even understand the landscape of the industry. It's quite a technical industry.
Sure.
From the outside, what advice would you give if they're choosing their A-level subjects or university majors? How should they go about it?
I think a lot of people, I know people that are in university and they still don't know what they want to do with life, right? And I think that they should just take it as it goes. They should see where their interest lies. I think that a lot of people want to do a certain something, but they're not confident enough because because there's so many fields of work now in today's day,
Even
right?
within filmmaking, there's so many niche streams.
Exactly, right? So I think that there's so much now compared to before. Before you had like very limited options, but now you have a lot of options. And I think that people should take their time. They should gain experience in whatever market they feel like they want to gain experiences. Talk to people, mentors basically, and see what their advice is on this. And just take it as it goes. Do what they want to do. I feel like a lot of people get stuck because they do what their parents want them to do, or they do what is acceptable in society. But if you're just doing what you love, I can promise you that you're going to do it really well. Passion is something that leads to what you want to do, and if you love something, you're going to be able to do it.
So take that chance of ambiguity if there is, because if you study business or law or medicine, things are more structured.
But then also a lot of people that study medicine now or before, they do it and then they get tired of the process.
A lot of them never wanted to do it. It was imposed on them.
Or even people that wanted to do it, they get tired in the process and then they end up doing something else. And people look at them like, what are you doing with your life? Like you spend so many years doing this, might as well do that. But I think it's okay. It's okay to do what you want to do. And it's okay to realize that when you're 30, 40, it's okay to realize that whenever you realize it. There's no certain age where you should know that, oh, this is what I want to do. There's no certain age limit, And I think people make you feel like that though, oh, you're like 20 and now you should know what you need to do.
No, with every age benchmark, there's a set of expectations. Your 20s, 30, and there are certain expectations. And then you forget, was this for my own self or did someone else impose it on me?
So I think just do what you love and you'll do it best. It's as simple as that.
Do you think it was important for you that you studied film?
I think it was
What difference
very
did it
important.
make?
I think that the basic for anything is studying, and we don't realize that, but we spend so many of our lives studying something, and we're just like, once it's over, we're like, oh, thank God it's over. But that you don't realize what came from it. I feel like that the person that I am today, or the person that you are today, comes a lot from what we've studied or our schooling life.
Sometimes
I feel like
it's not always in the classroom, but within the realms of the school.
exactly, it grooms you, it shapes you. I think that your personality comes a lot from your schooling as well. If you and I are sitting here and we're speaking and we're well spoken and all of that, it comes from your education, right? It comes from your background, it comes from your education. And not just that, again, like I said, you groom, you learn a lot of things in life, you experience different people around you, and that is something that is important as well. Dealing with different types of people,
Different situations.
different situations. You learn all of that, and then at the end of the day, you're being taught a certain skill, and the way that you're being taught that is something that you'll use later on in life once you're experiencing it in the real world, right? So you learn a lot from it. For me, when I studied filmmaking, I learned I could like walk out of that degree being like a professor in film, or I could walk out of that degree being something like as small as like a lighting technician to something as big as a producer. The scale is so large, but I've learned every little skill. And now imagine me as a director on that set. I know what the lighting technicians are doing. I know what everyone around me is doing. I know their work as well, but I know my work as well. So I think that learning that skill is very important. And then obviously later, life is about experience. What your learnings come from either your degree or your experience. I think there's no other ways to go about it. Those two are like the only things.
No, that's so true. If you understand what everyone's role is and you can learn how to do it, then you can guide them on how to do things better, or work together with them as a team.
Exactly.
You have to know about different components that come together. So Muskaan, one of my last questions for you then is, in your journey of having studied film and having worked on a breakthrough project, what is the most special moment or achievement that you hold closest to your heart?
Well, there's not a lot on my portfolio yet.
Well, the first one was quite big.
The first one was quite big, and that
Big shoes or standards to keep up with, of course.
yeah. And I think that
It was taken so well in India too, something that makes me really happy. My Indian friends asked me about it and I was like, economically we might not be as good as you, but look at us in our, TV shows.
yeah, there was a lot of fan following from India and from all over the world. People were just watching it, and I think that till date is just the most special thing that I've ever done, and it's closest to my heart as well. So obviously, if you ask me a few years down the lane, I might have a different answer. But right now, I would say that the event was my most special project so far.
As it should be. Muskaan, thank you so much for your time. This was lovely. I'm not going to let you go after this. We'll have a cup of tea or a coffee.
For sure.
Thank you so much for watching. This is such a special episode. We're closing off season 1. It was the last 3 months of lots of learnings that I didn't even know I had to learn. Lovely guests, lovely family and friends who came together. And to the ones watching, do let me know in the comments. We tried different things. We tried different lengths, different topics, different content styles, different editing on our Instagram. So let us know what you liked, what you loved, and what you hated. And we will be looking into this. And in today's episode from Muskaan, I really learned that if you get opportunity or you get connections or you get ease, it really does come with a responsibility. Because if Muskaan took it easy, her first project as an associate director wouldn't have broken national and regional records. So guys, when we label people as nepotism or anything, right, about color, about gender, about anything, be very careful, because if you do that, it might just ignite a fire in them where they prove you wrong with records broken. So be gentle with your words, be kind, and if you have a dream, take that risk, speak to others around you. And I think the most beautiful thing Muskaan said was, spend time with your parents, spend time with your elders, learn from them. With their wisdom, it's great for you, but they need our time also. So thank you for all the love, thank you for all the comments, and the next season, I don't know what we'll be doing, but I'll be working hard after this to get you the content. Thank you, and Allah Hafiz.